Sometimes silence is the loudest. There are trillions of stars in the cosmos. Each of those stars are their own little universe that is identical, yet very different. One realm may even be exactly as yours, except perhaps darkness has prevailed. This may not end up causing the realm to look any different than yours, outside of a few unexpected events. On the other hand, with such a massive shatter event, this could completely change the landscape of the realm. It is these details that causes an infinite number of realms to be produced, like dolls. Each seems to be the same, but when one looks at them further, their differences become present. Some are missing parts or have chipped paint, others are dirty with years of neglect. Few, however, are pristine, but locked away to prevent any contamination. However, in the cosmos, there also exist places so unique that there is no other version of it. Places I've learned to call catenations, or catenas for short. These are unique areas of the cosmos where convergence occurs, and typically lodestones exist. Lodestones being individuals that, unlike other beings of the cosmos, do not have different versions across the different universes. They are beings that are so powerful that the energies that they are composed of cannot be replicated, and thus, there is only one of them in all of the cosmos. This particular story is a meeting with a special kind of lodestone, a vessel maker. One so powerful, they can create avatars out of thin air. However, no matter how powerful they are, even they have limits. These limits are what make them just as vulnerable to the void as any other. Sadly though, because their limits are so high, it makes them that much more desirable to be fed upon by the darkness of the void. After traveling many realms and universes to fix where decay has settled in, I decided to retreat to Hammerspace to assess the void's influence over the cosmos. How could I have been so naive? To think that the void was far from sentient beings. To even go as far as to think that the void was gone. Foolish thinking that has foolishly claimed so many lives. Some lives that cannot be returned. I looked at the facts of the void's infiltration. Oblivion does not have any influence where the void is waning. The void only needs one dark spark, though, to devour influence. And once it has control over enough of the realm's energies, Oblivion can send their voice to grab hold of beings of casting of dark shadow. They can infiltrate their mind and cause them to shatter their universe. Sometimes, even beings that are anomalies, or in some of the darker cases, alters. Oblivion has something far more dastardly planned, though. They have to know that eventually, with enough time, all that which the void has shattered can be repaired. No, there has to be something more. As I look at where Oblivion's influence has been the strongest and most recent, I'm beginning to see the roadmap their sinister presence is following. The realm of no foxes was first. There, Oblivion whispered in the minds of insecure humans to eradicate any trace of fox kind. The first pinpoint marker. Then the realm of bug supremacy. There was very little Oblivion had to do, though. All they had to do was make the bugs aware of tiny humans to shatter that realm. No, this was a mere stepping stone. There were a few that were like this. The realm of the barfless, the realm of the sickly dragon princess. What were they stepping stones to? The realm of the mousecapade. The realm of forgotten happiness. The realm of fierceness. These were realms where Oblivion was more direct with their influence, or they influenced a single person to commit the shatter. I was aghast as soon as I realized where the path was leading to in the grandeur of the cosmos. A catenation. Not just any catenation. A catenation where a particularly quiet lodestone has lived since the before times. Loudy. I realized then and there that I needed to rush to Loudy's aid before it was too late. Unfortunately, that time had far passed, and as I arrived, I saw several chi bodies, or chibis for short, strewn across the landscape of the catenation. Oblivion had already been here, and caused enough destruction, but that wouldn't matter so long as the vessel maker was alright. I went searching for Loudy amongst the debris, and was in disbelief at the destruction that was all around. This catenation was well guarded. Loudy had made sure of that. I saw that the walls that had stood tall to stop any from entering had crumbled to the ground. Loudy was strong, but just like any being with a soul, they had an exploit. The darkness that resides within any soul. A darkness that's there to show how bright the light can be within. A darkness, if exploited by the void, can become all-consuming and devour the light. Loudy! I came across several other vessels. Luckily, just empty shells that were waiting for a host soul. I began to wonder why Oblivion didn't just take these vessels for themselves. While these vessels may not have been strong enough, they would have been more than enough to allow them to directly corrupt lost souls. There must be something else. As I came across where the home of Loudy once stood, I saw nothing but rubble. I quickly began to claw at the wreckage and tried to find any signs of Loudy. With the quietest cough, I found new hope as I worked quicker to find her. And there she was. 3 hobbled chibis shielding her so she wouldn't be crushed. She was curled up in a ball, as if she had given everything she had to the chibis that were protecting her. Loudy, it's okay. It's Omni. I'm here. Loudy opened her eyes and was surprised to see me. She was still too traumatized to talk, and so she gave speech to one of the chibis. One that ironically looked like a bear with a familiar red scarf. Lady Loudy is relatively unharmed, physically. However, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, Oblivion has pushed her to her limits. I looked at her as she tried to stand on her own 2 feet. The chibi went into further detail of what had transpired. Oblivion was after a vessel that they could use to corrupt and control anomalies through tubular vessels, or VTubers. Oblivion, however, was unable to break through, no matter how hard they tried, until one day, they stopped. They stopped. I assumed that didn't last. The chibi continued as the other 2 chibis helped Loudy to her feet. No, the peace was short-lived. One day, a portal to the void opened up, and with it came complete darkness. It caused much destruction and tore down Lady Loudy's strong walls. She was vulnerable. She attempted to surround herself with more vessels. However, it was no use. Oblivion was able to strike. They invaded her mind and made her doubt herself. And thus, the darkness within would grow. And Oblivion wouldn't have to hurt Loudy. Her own darkness would do it for them. Oblivion must have realized that after our last encounter, they would not be able to invade the realms without a body, because I had taken that away from them. And so they needed a vessel, something that could host their soul. The chibi confirmed. Yes, they needed a vessel, so that they could corrupt beings in the cosmos directly. Lady Loudy, however, was strong in the beginning. Despite the darkness within them telling them they were worthless and unloved, their light would burn the darkness. However, just as anything can be healed with time, so can anything be corrupted. I could tell that Loudy had struggled so much for so long with the darkness within. Oblivion must have coerced her into making them a vessel eventually. It still didn't make any sense, though, as to why Oblivion had destroyed her other vessels. They didn't seem to be destroyed out of fear that they would be used against them either, but rage that they couldn't use those vessels. Why didn't Oblivion just take one of the vessels that Loudy had already made? The chibi looked at Loudy, then looked at me. They then pointed to my chest. Because of Oblivion's darkness. Oblivion's darkness was too corrupt and would render those vessels useless because they could not handle the corruption. And so Oblivion drove her mad with her own darkness. Yes, and eventually, Lady Loudy collapsed. She could no longer fight, and she succumbed to the darkness. I looked around and realized that the destruction of this catenation was the physical manifestation of the damage done to Loudy's heart and soul. It's okay now. Loudy, you are a beautiful and amazing soul. You are worthy. You are loved. Your darkness does not define you. It does not control you. Loudy gave a small smile hearing those words. Eventually, she was able to walk with the assistance of the chibis. We walked around the ruins of the catenation, and I reassured her that, with time, everything can be fixed. While I had concerns about the scars that Oblivion's attack left, I still had to know if she actually made a vessel that Oblivion could use to further corrupt the cosmos. Loudy, were you able to make that vessel? The one Oblivion sought after? She shook her head no. I unintentionally let out a sigh of relief. Sorry, that's not my only concern. I rushed over here because I was also concerned for you. She smiled again. The chibi spoke once more. Lady Loudy understands that you are concerned about Oblivion's influence over the cosmos. Lady Loudy does not fault you for still fearing that Oblivion has a vessel that would allow them to travel freely among the realms. Lady Loudy is happy, though, that you did rush to her aid, even if it had been too late. Thank you, Loudy. I couldn't help but laugh as I asked her about this particular chibi. I couldn't help but notice that this particular chibi resembles someone I may know. She laughed a little, and the chibi spoke for her once more. Yes, this vessel is for you. For me? What would I need a vessel for? And what vessel would be strong enough to contain my light? Loudy shook her head. The chibi interpreted what she wanted to say. This vessel isn't for you to inhabit. This vessel is a mascot to be used should you need to fight Oblivion within the Void. The Void is where they will be the most powerful, and so you need all the help you can get. This is true, but what could a mascot do? Loudy held the mascot in her arms, and it suddenly went limp. Then the chibi shone so bright that one could have sworn a new star was being born. I see, it has many different uses. A mascot, or decoy, or something to remind others that no matter how dark, as long as you can find the light, no matter how fading, you can overcome it. I took the mascot VTube from Loudy and one last time made sure she'd be okay. Do you want me to stay? She shook her head, and the other vessels that were once lifeless began to stand up. Together, they cleared out most of the rubble, ready to build the catenation anew. Fair enough. I want you to remember, Loudy, that no matter what the darkness tells you, you are an amazing and beautiful soul that can shine bright even in the darkest night. Let your heart beat strong. Let what once was broken will soon be healed. As long as your star shines, I will always look for you in the sky. And with that, I left Loudy, hopefully better than I had left her.